Welcome back into the Cowboys Report, everybody. I am Tom Downey, and good morning. While a lot of us, including me, and I will vent about this in a little bit, were asleep, the Dallas Cowboys added another player in NFL free agency. Cornerback Cobie Durant is coming over from the Los Angeles Rams on what Adam Schefter reported earlier this morning, and this is an actual morning, by the way, not like overnight, a one-year, $5.5 million deal. The Cowboys continue to make moves. This one might be more appealing for a lot of us than maybe just the backup offensive lineman or backup defensive tackle or whatever. So this is an overnight video for me. Look, I thought I was safe to go to sleep at like midnight Eastern, and then around 1 a.m. Eastern, they go and do this signing, which is super frustrating to me. It is what it is. We will break it down now for you. Definitely no push notification on today's video, plus a lot of people were asleep, so do not be afraid to help us out and share today's video on social media. Thank you very much if you do. So Cobie Durant is coming to the Cowboys. He was a starter last year for the LA Rams, not necessarily like an every down player, but he did play almost 1,000 snaps and was a part-time starter in 2024 and 2023 as well. Dallas is getting a player who I think has had 19 starts over the past 2 seasons. Dallas is getting a player who has starting experience. He was a former 4th-round pick as well, coming out of South Carolina State back in 2022. He had kind of worked his way up from backup to part-time starter to more of a full-time starter these past couple seasons. I am in favor of this move for a couple different reasons beyond the fact that Durant was the Rams' leading pick getter last season and has experience and fills a huge need with a lack of depth in the secondary. This also is, I think, a potential big sign for what the Cowboys are willing to do in the secondary in a way they have not been willing to do in the past. We will get to that here in a little bit on today's show. Durant is also a streaky player. We can call it what it is. He will make some awesome interceptions for you. Go type in Cobie Durant highlights on YouTube once this video is done, and you will see some awesome interceptions. He also has some moments of like, dude, what are you doing out there? 3 touchdowns allowed in the playoff run is not ideal. He is not necessarily an elite tackler, but I do not think he is a liability either, which is also a pretty good thing. He has predominantly been an outside corner in his time, both in college and in the NFL. So more to come on this, but do you like the signing? Drop Y for yes or N for no in the comments section of today's show. Let me begin with why I am almost most intrigued by Cobie beyond the surface level. Actually, let me start with this. Cobie Durant can be your number 4 corner. Like, I think that is the ideal role for him. DaRon Bland stays healthy, has a bounce-back year. Jordan Lewis stays healthy, has a breakout year. I still think this team is inclined to draft a corner in round 1. But now, to an extent, if the board does not fall your way, you are not like, oh my God, now we have to reach on a corner at 12 or 20 and panic pick one. Although I still think they would very much like to take a corner when it is all said and done. You do not have to rely on Trevon Diggs or Kalen Carson or Josh Butler or maybe Reddy Stewart in the nickel. You do not have to panic on that and be like, okay, well, now we just have to go about and do it and embrace this and accept what we have and deal with it. I think this gives you more ability to still draft a corner, but it means your depth is better. Like, I think in an ideal world, the $5.5 million might be more like $2 or $3 million. It means that you are not ideally starting him because the Rams were quick to not bring him back for a reason in the end. They wanted to upgrade the cornerback room. Durant was one of the first guys they pushed out. But if you are telling me, hey, Tom, play Cobie Durant or Trevon Diggs, give me Durant if Diggs is not healthy. Cobie Durant or Kalen Carson, give me Durant. Cobie Durant or Reddy Stewart. Different roles, maybe not fair, but I think give me Durant. So like if you are just power ranking the corners on this roster, I think he slots in at number 3. I think you want to give Christian Parker another youthful piece, but I do think this gives you a much-needed depth addition at a spot of weakness from what we saw last year. Now, I want to get into why I think this is a potentially atypical signing for what the Cowboys have almost always historically targeted at corner. Cobie Durant is not big. Cobie Durant is not a very large type of human being. This is an undersized corner, which they do not normally go after and pursue. He is sub 5'10". He is 5'9" and 5/8 from his combine testing. He is 180 pounds. He has bulked up a little bit since getting into the NFL, 30 and 3/4 inch arms, and perhaps most importantly, a 72 and 3/4 inch wingspan. That is pretty small. If you are looking at Mock Draftable, they do a great job of being able to get instant comparisons of percentiles for all these guys that have tested. For Cobie Durant, who, by the way, did run a 4.38 40-yard dash. The height is 12th percentile among corners. The weight is 8th percentile. The wingspan is 11th percentile. And the arm length is 26th percentile. That is very unusual. The Cowboys have not ever really targeted that type of corner before. They have almost always gone with some exceptions of like waiver claims after the first wave of cuts in August. They never really targeted those undersized guys in free agency, going out of their way to target Durant, also known as Land Shark, which is his nickname and just an elite name, does make me think that they are going to be more willing to draft a corner who has not fit their historic arm length measurables. And the name that comes to mind for me is somebody like Mansour Delane. He is 6 feet, 187 pounds. The arm length is only 30 inches. The wingspan is longer than Cobie Durant at 74.5. But it also might make more sense for somebody like Avian Terrell, who checked in at a little under 5'11", only 186 pounds, 31-inch arms. Perhaps I am reading too much into this, but I think this type of stuff does matter at this time of the year. The Cowboys going after a non-archetypal corner and not going after someone who is super long with giant wingspans and looks like Tarek Woolen out there, adding an undersized corner does make me think they are more willing to expand their ranges of what they would typically target in the draft. And I think in particular for this year's draft class that matters because the wingspans of these corners are not exactly that great in the first place. We mentioned how they normally almost always covet those 76-inch wingspan guys. Brandon Cece of the top corners has the second longest at 75 and 7/8. He has got sub 31-inch arms. All these corners do not really have that 32-inch arm stuff that the Cowboys have always liked. So I actually do think this matters from that perspective. I think I already asked you if you like the signing. Now grade the signing A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Let me just read off the stats here. They will be in the comments as well. 40 tackles, a tackle for loss, 7 pass breakups, 3 interceptions this past year. He also picked off 3 passes in his first season. Durant has got 7 career interceptions. That is solid ball production. Much needed depth at corner. You guys asked a bunch on our live show Thursday. Hey, are the Cowboys done making moves? I said no. I do not think they are done making moves. It just might not be the moves that are really going to move the needle for us like a household name. This is your typical Cowboys signing in the sense of it is insurance and depth and needed depth. Like I would have been a little bit disappointed if they did not add a corner at some point this offseason or even just in free agency. I think I still want them to draft somebody in round 1. There are some corners I would like, depending on how that board falls. But adding Durant means, hey, if Delane goes off the board at 10 or 11 and they do not want to take Terrell or Hood and then they get sniped on Hood or Terrell or whatever, they do not have to take somebody at 20 that they did not fall in love with. So I think the board might fall your way for a corner still. Maybe it falls your way for a Reuben Bain, who is also a short-arm guy, by the way, which might bode well for that. The signing also tells us that Christian Parker is comfortable working with different body types at cornerback. That is important because Parker came from Philadelphia, where they had a variety of cornerbacks with different builds. He is not married to one specific prototype. Looking at how Durant fits the roster right now, you have DaRon Bland, who is your number one when healthy. You have Jordan Lewis, who has been solid. Now you have Durant as your number 3. And then you are hopefully drafting somebody in round 1 to develop into a future starter. That gives you actual depth for the first time in a while. Last year when injuries hit, the Cowboys were scrambling. They were playing guys who had no business being on the field in meaningful snaps. That should not happen this year. Durant also gives you some veteran presence. He has playoff experience with the Rams. He has been in a winning environment. He knows what it takes to compete at a high level. That matters for a young secondary that is going to have some new pieces this year. The $5.5 million price tag is fair for what you are getting. He is not being paid like a starter, but he is being paid like a quality backup who can step in if needed. That is exactly what he is. For the Cowboys defense under Christian Parker, having multiple cornerback options is important because of the disguise packages he likes to run. You need corners who can handle different assignments. Durant has shown he can do that in the Rams system under Raheem Morris. The bottom line is this signing does 2 things. First, it provides immediate depth at a position of weakness. Second, and maybe more importantly, it signals that the Cowboys are willing to think differently about what a cornerback needs to look like physically. For years, they have been obsessed with length and wingspan. Now they are adding a guy who is undersized but productive. That might open up their draft board in a meaningful way. If you are a Mansour Delane fan, this signing should make you happy. If you are an Avian Terrell fan, this signing should make you happy because it shows the Cowboys are not going to automatically pass on these guys just because they do not have 32-inch arms. We will keep you covered here on the Cowboys Report with all the latest moves. Make sure you guys are subscribed so you do not miss anything, even the overnight signings like this one. Drop your grade in the comments, A, B, C, D, or F for the Cobie Durant signing. Let me know if you think this changes how you view the Cowboys draft approach. And do not forget about the flash sale on Cowboys Report t-shirts. $5 off from now until Friday at midnight. That is chatsports.com/Cowboys Report. The link is in the comments section and the description of today's show. That is all for now, Cowboys Nation. I will see you in the next one. And hopefully the next signing does not come at 1 a.m. so I can actually get some sleep.